Joel, tell us a little about Menu RX where we talk a little Browns for a sec.
So Menu RX is awesome. Dr. Jake May and the crew, they work with people to get in better shape, get more fit, lose weight. If you're someone, especially guys, because, a lot of those big box weight loss centers, you know what I'm talking about, they're geared to women mostly because it's most of their customers are women. Not that Menu RX can't help women too. Absolutely, men or women, it doesn't matter. But for the guys out there that are watching specifically, if you're overweight, if you're obese and you're struggling and you don't know where to turn, Menu RX is a great option. You work with scientists and nutritionists who specifically will work one-on-one with you to make a weight loss plan that is tailored specific to you, your body type, your needs. And guys, sometimes we're uncomfortable talking about these things, but it's someone you can talk to that can help. So go to menu-rx.com today. Check out what they can do for you. Get a free consultation. And if your health insurance could possibly cover it, they do take HSA, FSA payments, so it may be $0 out of your pocket. So no matter what you're looking for, to get in better shape, chasing peak performance, building your body, losing weight, go to menu-rx.com. That's menu-rx.com.
So, guys, we got some unfortunate Browns news yesterday. I think we expected it to a certain extent, but the Browns officially making it official that JOK will miss the 2025 season. He has been placed on the PUP reserve list. The Browns put out a statement. JOK put out a statement. This comes from the Cleveland Browns. Jeremiah's health is of the utmost importance to us, and although he has made progress towards recovery, we've made the decision to place him on the reserve PUP list, which means he will not play football during the 2025 season. Jeremiah has the full support of our team, and we expect him to continue to be a part of the organization, even though he will not return to the field this year. We will not make any predictions on Jeremiah's football future at this time, but we do note that he's in good spirits and will continue to take the advice of the world-class medical experts who will continue to guide his progress and recovery. It's a tough blow, even if we expected it.
Yeah.
For a guy who showed so much promise before suffering that neck injury last year.
His story is an amazing one, G, because he comes in as a rookie. There's a lot of hype for him. We were all excited about him. He was a player that really didn't fit a specific spot. And you're like, will the Browns be able to use him smartly? And his rookie year, he was okay. He was okay. Not great, but not terrible. And you're like, okay, well, we'll see what he does next year. And then year two, he was a disaster. Mm-hmm. He was so bad, and I hate to keep putting this on him, but he was so bad that our buddy DeQuell Jackson, one of the best linebackers in Browns history, said, I think you got to cut him. I can't do it. So he went from the lows of the low in year two in terms of a football perspective. And then in year three, he's a superstar.
Yeah.
He makes the Pro Bowl. He's one of the best linebackers in football. The guy went from a potential cut to one of the best linebackers in football. Had a great year. He signs a new contract. He starts last year off to a pretty solid start. He gets this injury, and at the time, I don't think we even realized it was anything serious.
I think if you go back and you find a tweet,
yeah,
and I remember I tweeted exactly when it happened.
Yeah.
And I said, man, JOK, man, I don't think you feel his legs.
Oh, boy.
Like, I don't.
So you knew.
I was like, this look bad. This looks, I say, hey, pray for the man. And since then, I kind of know, like, a little bit, like a lot of people don't know. People be laughing. They be like, G. Bush is the most injured reserve dude in the world. Like, I literally have 3 herniated discs in my neck. So they're unoperable because of the way they sit on my spinal cord, and there's too high of a risk of paralysis for surgery. So I can't have them. So sometimes my legs go numb or my arms go. Lucky for me, it's just my arms really that really affect me, right? So I know what it's like to have spinal cord injuries. I've had neck surgery and I've had back surgery. And when I saw what happened, I just said, oh man, I just knew that it was a slim chance. Now I'm not saying that I know anything more. I'm not a medical professional. And obviously I want JOK to come back and and play to his fullest. I'm just giving you what I know from my experience and kind of an educated guess. To me, I never expected him to play this year. I don't expect him to play anymore because it's just too big of a risk. He's going to multiple doctors trying to figure anything out. The Browns are being vague about it, and the Browns should be vague about it. But, I mean, you're talking about tackling people again.
Yeah.
Like you're talking about you're already undersized, you're small. He is already worried about his health because he was one of the first people to wear the Halo helmets, right?
Yeah.
And he cares about safety, he cares about holistic health. He's a really spiritual person. And at this point, I just don't feel like they're going to give him a clean bill of health to come back and tackle people with his neck and end up laying on that field. And that's a bad look for him, and it's a bad look for his family. But I will say, I think what the Browns are doing, I think they're giving him an opportunity by keeping him on roster to get his things in order. Like a lot of times as players, you know, he's eligible for pension. I think it's 3 years. Tyvus can speak more about this.
Yeah, I think he's got it now.
He has that.
Yeah.
But do you have your finances in order where you may be taking care of a lot of people?
Yeah,
you may be doing a lot of things. So now we'll give you a little more time to get you some more checks in the system.
Yeah.
And then now that way it's a lesson of a blow to you. So that's where I think it's going. It's unfortunate, and I think you see that's why the Browns drafted the linebacker really, really high in the second round, man.
You know, it really hits home, and I spoke with another Browns linebacker, Joe Schobert. I don't know if I've mentioned that on the show yet, but Joe was on my podcast this morning. If you haven't seen it, go and check it out. And Joe will be on UCSS eventually. And you know, I was talking about this with him about injuries, and you know, we often, as fans, and I get it, I've done it as a fan too sometimes, we get mad at players when they hold out or they want more money or it feels like to a fan like they're not loyal to the team. And I get that. As a fan, that's a natural reaction. But when you back up and you look at the big picture of the situation, the average football career is less than 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And unlike baseball and basketball, where they have guaranteed contracts and make, you know, way more money than football players outside of quarterbacks and the super elite of the other positions, a handful of guys, most guys that play in the NFL, again, I'm not telling you to feel sorry for the amount of money they make. They make a lot of money compared to most people. But, like, guys like Dustin and Tyvus, you know, are the norm. Yeah. They're not the anomaly. They're the norm. They're the typical NFL player that plays for a few years, makes good money for a few years, good compared to most of us, but not good compared to most athletes. And then they got to have a job for the rest of their lives. They got to do other things. Most guys do.
What you doing?
And unlike, again, baseball and basketball, not that there aren't injuries in baseball and basketball, of course there are. But they don't have in those other sports, maybe in hockey they do, but not even to the level of football. As G just talked about, you're going to be dealing with this neck issue for your rest of your life.
Ever.
And you see old football players, they're gnarled up, they can't walk, they got Joe Thomas, an all-time great athlete, just had to have his hip replaced.
And Joe got a six-pack. Think about it. He lost all that weight, he got it down to a great body weight. Yeah. And he the hip. Now think about it. That's a hip replacement means you done grinded down your bones to a point where they just don't work no more.
And he's in great shape. There's so many athletes that are in terrible shape. Football players, terrible shape. We don't see a lot of these guys. And I've seen some of these older players over the years of covering sports, and they're a mess physically and mentally. So I'm never going to begrudge. I think it's an important reminder to never begrudge a player to make what they can when they can, right? And so you got to keep that in mind. This is a shame, obviously, from a human standpoint. It's a shame from a football standpoint. JOK seems like a really good dude. He's become a hell of a football player. Again, I don't know any more than you do or that we know now. But if he's out a year and a half because of this injury, it's hard to believe at some point he's going to be able to play. Like, what would change that would be able to make him play?
I mean, you're talking about the way he plays the game.
Yeah.
And it's like we're not even talking about we just want seeing if he's able to run as fast as he used to be, to be as twitchy, to be as I mean, we're talking about like nerves. Nerves don't grow back, people. That's a whole nother situation. And lucky for him, think about it. He got that contract right before the season.
Yep.
If he doesn't have that, I mean, that's a tough thing. Now, it sucks. And I think a lot of people, there's a human side to it because now, like you said, most people got to find something else to do.
Yeah.
And, once you put all your eggs into football or athletics, now it's like, okay, what are we doing now? And I'm lucky for him. He's a very smart guy. He does a lot of different things. He's well read. He's highly educated.
Yeah.
So I think he'll find a nice soft place to kind of retire. But at the end of the day, you never want to see that happen to nobody.
Yeah, maybe he'll stay with the organization and do something with the organization. I don't know, but it seems like the Browns are handling this with a lot of class, and good for them.
Last thing, we'll move on. But when we were playing that montage, I had forgotten he was one of the only players that wore the Guardian cap last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, G mentioned that he was one of the first guys to do it.
Yeah, he was, I think, the only guy on the Browns starting defense that committed to wearing that, and I just forgotten, so it shows not even the steps in the right direction can necessarily prevent it. Maybe we should have known, other than the Carson Schlesinger pick, when they interviewed Mason Graham in his first actual interview after being drafted, he referred to JOK as Coach JOK. And it registered in my mind, and I wrote it down, and then I forgot about it.
Yeah.
Until I saw yesterday that this news came out, and I was like, you know what? Should have saw that one coming.
I was saying the same McNuggets. I heard Andrew Berry talk, and he was saying, comparing Carson Schlesinger to JOK, and he said, JOK, he referred to JOK in the past tense 2 times. He said JOK was tremendous, twitchy athlete. JOK was one of those guys that could move, and then he caught himself and said JOK is like what, and I was like, and somebody was like, don't look too far into it. I'm like, I'm like,
I did this. Not that, but with the Mason Graham Coach JOK, the pieces, the crumbs were all there.
Yeah,
of course there was something to that. He wouldn't have said was, and I mean, hey, we wish him the best.
Do you think he'll ever play a snap in the NFL again?
Probably not.
No, I don't. I thought when I seen him down, and then usually you hope that you hope that you get out of hospital. Usually, generally speaking, when they get out of hospital, things get better very quickly.
Right.
It was just quiet. Like, it was super quiet after, and he was just gone a little bit.
Yeah, and it's not like an Achilles tear where you're like, okay, it just takes a long time to rehab. Like, it's going to be over a year and a half at this point. What would possibly change that he'd now be able to play? I don't know. Again, I'm not a doctor. Maybe there's some technology that makes it, but I doubt it.
Yeah.